My name is Javier Munoz, and this is the What Brings You Here podcast, where we spotlight remarkable people changing the world one epic project at a time. And today, we're super excited to introduce you to Chin Man Yeung. He is the founder and CTO of Psymerge, a pioneering platform dedicated to the subject of psychedelics. Now, Ching is not just a technologist. He is an idea creator, a community creator that is weaving all these ideas to create an experience where psychedelics can have a true therapeutic effect. And all of that from a perspective of safety. Now, as in the case of previous podcasts, we are also introducing Chin because he was part of the Shift event that was organized by Lovable. Now, Shift is a sort of 6 week hackathon where people from all walks of life come together to create a product with technology. Now, for those of you that don't know, Lovable is an AI company that allows you to turn your text instructions into fully functional applications. Now, in the case of Psymerge, well, it really stood out because in this era where mental health is such an epidemic, where things are not getting better, we need alternatives. We need new ways of approaching this problem. And psychedelics has been proven to have therapeutic effects. Now, the critical point is to have the proper integration of the experience so that you can also get the insights necessary. And for that, you need practitioners that are high reputation, that are prepared to do this and provide these experiences. So Cymerge is providing this platform where people can come and they are vetted according to a very extensive process, so that when you as a user you go and you look for a person, you are able to really connect with people that can really help you. Now, I'm going to let Chin talk about all of that very, very soon. Now, but before we go to that, let me also say that if you are interested in turning that passion, that purpose into a profitable product that actually connects with what's true to you, that allows you to reinvent yourself, well, then, if that's the case, I invite you to participate to the next edition of Just Action, where we're going to dive into that subject, and we will also create the opportunity for you to see how you can use these AI tools to really accelerate that process for you. And so it's a personal reinvention, introspective journey, but with the practical benefit of also connecting to the tools that can turn those ideas into practical products. And so that's why we're highlighting all these amazing entrepreneurs that have participated in this hackathon, because they are in themselves an example of how you can turn your life around, reinvent yourself in 6 weeks, and be in a completely different situation just because you're using the right tools to express that which now can come clearly and that can be expressed clearly by way of these tools. Now, without more waiting, we're going to turn to Chin. All right, Chin. Welcome to the What Brings You Here podcast. It's so great to have you. You are another one of the epic stories from the recent Shift event where you entered your project. And as always, I want to start with the key question. What was that brought you to make that decision of creating your project first? And then tell me, what was the journey?
Well, yeah, thank you for having me here and thank you for the lovely introduction. What brought me to create that project? That's a little bit of a longer story, but it has like a deeply personal background to it. So everything started like when I was 10, my grandma passed away, and I was like dealing with grief very deeply. It was the circumstances were a tiny bit traumatic, let's say, and also like my background growing up in a Chinese family. But in Spain, because I'm Spanish, by the way,
Mm,
there was like a certain disconnect, and the things were lingering there, and they were not dealt with, and definitely it evolved into a mental health issue lingering there, always suppressed. And at some point in my life, there were like little bursts of like even hints of depression, and so, and I felt a bit crippled and so on. But at one point, being young and a little bit silly at 19, I actually tried out psilocybin with a bunch of friends. That was a silly idea because we were young, unexperienced, and we didn't think about like maybe the harm that it could happen. And also like we chose the setting was like, let's go do this in a forest in the night, dark. Well, of course, that is the worst set and setting you can have. And I literally had very bad experience the first one. And
mm,
like for almost like 1 2 hours, I was just having flashbacks of this moment with of my grandma, this situation, this
mm.
internal fight in me. And it was really unpleasant, and it was overwhelming. But at
So
some point,
how were you invited to this ceremony, or what was the framing for it?
it was purely recreational and very silly. If young people, I mean, young people do these things, right? Like get drunk, they do substances and so on. And this was my first touch point with it. No idea about set and setting. But after the bad trip, the initial bad trip, I then everything kind of eased out, and there was something in me that changed a little bit, and I felt lighter. Like I wasn't feeling that I was carrying that pain that intensely. So I
Wow,
at the
so that
moment I didn't
means
really.
that you felt the therapeutic effect of it, even though there was no intention of that, and it was more like recreational initially, but that gave you like a
Yeah,
clue that something had happened.
yeah. I couldn't put it into words, but it felt like that. It felt therapeutic, and I had no idea that the psychedelics had any therapeutic potential. And I just went on with my life, like, oh, I feel a bit better. Cool.
So
And I never.
you didn't connect the two things at the time.
No, not at all. And I think this is a reality for a lot of people doing this recreationally. Some of them might even have bigger consequences, and then they need help. Fortunately, we were not doing very strong doses and so on, and everything was under control more or less, even though the setting wasn't the optimal.
So you're saying
However,
that basically sometimes it happens that people take these things recreationally, then certain things are unlocked
yeah,
just because of the therapeutic type of effect that it has. But then naturally you would need some person to be able to unpack that and debrief it and work with you so that you can create some meaning because you didn't know what happened, right? But
yeah,
certain things occurred that
yeah.
emerged from the experience and you don't know yet what they mean, so naturally it would be important for someone to help you out in those cases.
Exactly. Like when joining my friends, the only thing that I was being told is that it's like being a little bit drunk, tipsy, and seeing visuals and having a good laugh. No,
Mm.
in fact, it was way more introspective. And literally, I kind of saw my life pass in front of me and revisiting all the uh, darkest moments at the same time. And that's very intense. And fortunately, I think I could handle it, but everyone is the experience is subjective, and for some people, this might be way too overwhelming to continue their daily life without consequences. In that moment, that's when actually integration is extremely important, the psychedelic integration. And that's kind of what our platform is working on, Psymerge. We are trying to put forward and make visible this experts in psychedelic integration. We call them guides. They can be counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists, or even coaches. Having someone to support you is critical for this. If you don't have the tools yet to understand what happened, why your mental processes were going this way, and especially if it's overwhelming, and you might even have like long lasting challenges, so
Hmm.
it's very important to talk to experts in mental health to unpack, as you say, unpack and make sense of the insights that you had. And actually it's very valid material to work toward a um, healthier mindset. That's what is happening right now. The psychedelic research is showing that psychedelic therapy can it would be almost like a long time of psychotherapy, a little bit packed into it, and with some neurological processes that maybe break the circuit better than just talk therapy. So
Hmm.
it's very promising. Yet there is a lot of research to be done, and it's a moment that is very, very exciting because it's coming back. This was very prominent in the 60s, and of course, we know the hippies back then. But
Hmm.
with the war in Vietnam and Nixon and so on, this was completely banned, even though there was a lot of research and interest for potential therapeutic use and in many different aspects. Of course, not for everyone because pre-screening is important and harm reduction protocols must be followed. And but there is potential, and there's definitely an interest to explore more in this field.
So your
Yeah.
platform is trying to solve what specific pains?
So as I said, it's you after experiencing a psychedelic journey, it's the best to talk with an expert
Hmm.
to start the psychedelic integration process.
Right.
What happens right now is that these specialists are not that visible online. There are certain platforms here and there, is a little bit scattered. The information might not be complete. Even for someone who didn't go through the psychedelic experience, but maybe is suffering from a mental health condition, finding a normal therapist is already a very big challenge because you need to find someone with whom you can actually click, resonate, open up, and share things and the material to work together. And the psychedelic part, yeah, it's the same. You also need to click. So
Hmm.
we are trying to collect and create the biggest community of psychedelic therapists and coaches and so on, and put it available and help people match. And on top of all this, we'll ensure that these professionals will be vetted by our team. We have on board some clinicians and so on, and also people who have experience in the psychedelic ceremony, the journey itself, or even microdosing. And then we evaluate if this person actually has the experience they claim they have, because as we as you might have seen on Instagram, as TikTok, social media, with the hype of psychedelics, there are a lot of people trying to profit from it, and this puts so many people in danger. This self-proclaimed shamans or facilitators, providers, and so on, they can re-traumatize people. They can actually make things even worse, and what they have is just great marketing in the end. So we are
Hmm.
kicking them out. In we do. Oh, so Psymerge itself is kind of like, to clarify, it's a continuation of a project we had already. It's called Psychedelics Integration, but that is just a directory. So it's a collection of people, and there's some filters. It's very, very basic. But even to get in that directory, we are already vetting people very severely, and we had to decline a lot of people because we can't afford a single person being, you know, uh, harmed by a platform or by someone who is meant to be actually helping you.
Right.
So Cymerge puts this together, push it even further
Hmm.
by making matching tools, like checking tools for the patient, and also like CRM tools for the psychotherapists and coaches. So
Excellent.
everything in one place. Yeah, that's
So,
our idea.
s- and that's fantastic. So, from a ideal perspective, your vision, aspirationally speaking, not only for the platform but for this way of finding help. What is your vision for this?
The way of finding help. Well, ideally, we would be the idea of psychedelic integration would be very much mainstream. That would be ideal. Then people are educated, about the options, about the challenges, difficulties that you can actually have, the, the pros and cons, basically. So education is very important, in my opinion,
Because
for good and bad.
what's happening right now when normally when a person has mental health issues, what are their options? Why is this option not more available? What are the risks under this current situation, besides the situation that you told me about the lack of therapy for integration? What is the pain that we could be preventing by making this mainstream? Or is there something that you want to achieve through this to open it up to more people in a safe way?
Well, this touches so many different fields, like political and law and so on, and social, cultural as well. Um, well, first of all, why is it hard to like tell people about this? It's
Mm,
psychedelics, they're drugs, they're substances. Is still taboo, and not only socially is not well seen and misunderstood, perhaps, but also in the structural way of how we live nowadays with internet, and it's quite controlled by the big medias like let's say Google, the FAANG acronym. They also put a lot of limitations, and I understand these limitations. You kind of need them to prevent any harm from people from like, oh, being able to make advertisement for some substances directly on the platform. You don't want that, of course. And who knows what that could actually be, not what they claim, perhaps. So control, all this is understandable because there's potential for therapeutic benefit, but there's also a lot of potential for misuse and harm, and a lot of education and push to like understanding socially speaking, and then raising it up to a political scene. That would be the steps, and really like harm reduction in telling even younger kids nowadays, because as you might know, the Gen Z, they don't drink anymore. Actually, it's kind of known that they might do other substances to get out, and they are already touching things that maybe they shouldn't be touching at a certain age. Like,
mhm.
of course, alcohol, obviously you shouldn't drink before, because it impairs development, but actually these substances as well. So all this is education, I think.
So
Yeah.
from the
Preparation.
perspective of psychedelics, what is included in that category in terms of
Well,
substances?
it's a fairly long list. It's
Hmm.
a fairly long list, but we do have like the classical psychedelics that occur mostly naturally, such as psilocybin, the magic mushrooms. You have, of course, LSD, although that's more like synthesized from ergot and so on. Then you have maybe this rapé and DMT that occurs naturally also, and ayahuasca and so on. Then you have more like the second generation, not second generation, but the synthetic ones such as MDMA, which is like a very popular party drug, and some people actually find relief in their psychology, but they don't know that it's coming from the drug. Maybe they think is just a evasion, but there's a substance playing a role there, and they don't go to talk about it.
So,
They don't
so let me
double check.
ask you, you're telling me that synthetic psychedelics are also proven to have a therapeutic effect?
Absolutely, like so MDMA is the very best example,
Mhm.
and we do have this institution in the United States called MAPS, and they are pushing for more research and the legitimization of actually usage of MDMA in psychotherapy, and they are the pioneers on this. And unfortunately, they did have a little hiccup last year, I think it was, with the Food and Drug Administration in the US, where they tried to push the usage of MDMA in the phase two, in the trial phase two. Usually the process is longer and they have to go through three phases, but they try to apply for the shortcut, but they got rejected. So now they had to. Now they have more homework to do, and the process might take a couple of years more. So yeah, there's benefits like the capacity of the substances to enter into yourself and introspection and understand what's going on and open up. There's a lot of like effects that can help therapy, like this openness, this activation of empathy, and this sense of like safety, that that it's okay to talk about these things that hurt you, for example. So that's actually the potential of it. There are tools to open up, um, used for psychotherapy.
That sounds great. Well, I've had experiences with ayahuasca personally, and it's definitely been a benefit, to experience this if it is done, as you said, in a controlled way, with as a ceremony, and with professionals that know about the origin and the way in which they can conduct the whole event, the whole ceremony, with proper debriefs. So um, I can speak to it. By the way, that there is beauty. There is actual beauty, not only in the event itself, in the connection with the nature, because for me this I am more inclined towards natural medicine, but that's just a preference, rather than synthetic, and that's why I was asking before. But I remain open because of the mental health issues that we have in society and the trends that we see that are not encouraging. There is evidence that there needs to be better solutions for it, and that are accessible solutions. And somehow intuitively, my take is that if we are able to reconnect to the source, that has to do with the natural elements from the earth, and connect to the lessons or the wisdom that is in those medicines. I am somehow intuitively connected to that as a journey or as a possibility that would generate healing. So, but that's my point. My take is very personal in that sense.
Indeed. And it's going to be always very personal. Like
Mhm.
regular mental health healing or psychedelic supported ones are going to be very very personal. But really, like the important thing in the case of psychedelics is that it's not a silver bullet. It's not like the
Right.
panacea. It's not going to solve everything, but being able to have access to them, especially for people who already went through the regular psychotherapy and they have perhaps like this persistent depression or PTSD, and it's not advancing, then this tools here, the psychedelics, could be a very good shot.
Mhm.
Everything has to be taken with a pinch of salt, of course, but
Mhm.
they can be helpful. They have been proven so far helpful. There are more research revealing that. So it's in our case, we do think that it's a matter of time. It will definitely come up because the benefits over it's outbalances
Mhm.
the stigma. Even I think it's the same if you think of cannabis. It was, of course, terrible drug. It's just like for people sitting in the couch like a potato bag and not doing anything. Well, now actually, we don't even remember how all the states of the United States legalized cannabis now. Like
Mm.
it just
Incredible.
happened so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, suddenly this year, I think this project was within you, right? Needed to find the light and to be expressed. Although it had been already, there had been a journey before, a long
Yes.
journey where you had connected with the subject, you had done other things, but then suddenly this opportunity of participating in Shipped by Lovable, which is a vibe coding platform that allows you to basically create software by just entering text. This somehow ignited a possibility for you, right? Because you didn't have time for this, but suddenly this came along, right?
Yes, exactly. So I do have technical training. I'm a front-end developer by trade, and I even run my own agency. So having clients and then this personal project is kind of hard to juggle. But with this tool, actually, Lovable, actually, yeah, that changed quite everything because it did give me the time back. Like I could accelerate so much development that was not really possible before. It was already kind of possible if you will work in tandem with Copilot or ChatGPT and so on. But the way the Lovable integrated everything is extremely, extremely smart. And I was just tinkering with it, and I thought, okay, this I might do this transition from directory to a full platform where we can actually build the features that our guides, psychotherapists actually need or deserve. And on it just happened that they announced the shipped program, the first edition, and I said like, why not? Let's give it a try. I come with previous experience from the directory project. Very valid points we already kind of validated and so on. So we had a little bit of homework done, but still, just being able to focus in the project with community and with this framework and with peers reviewing you, giving you feedback, and also like helping each other. That was priceless, and it all happened in the span of 6 weeks. And what we have now, it's something pretty much functional, and it's already better than what we have as a directory, of course. Yeah, it was a very, very cool journey because of perhaps like the field we work in, the mental health, and we're dealing with people's data and very sensitive data. We kind of soft launched it for our coaches, guys, psychotherapists to join, but I am not actively going out there and tell people like on product hunt and telling people like, hey, just come and use it. Eventually that will happen, but not yet because I really want the security and everything really top notch because it is not the same as using a tool where you can create something cool like I don't know, some images on AI, and then oh my god, your prompt got leaked. Well, okay, fine, your
Mhm.
secret fantasy of this image came out. But if it's really like something you're struggling with and so on, this is absolutely no go, and we need to work to have it at the top level. Yeah.
Right. So the experience of the user when they go to Psymerge, what is the experience that you're delivering now that is better than the directory?
Well, so the directory came out from many different iterations,
Mm.
and you can see that it's a little bit more of like a Frankenstein uh, application, and it was very much improvised. We try to apply good practices in UX and try to have a branding and design to make it like professional enough. We do get this feedback. A lot of people come to us and say, "Oh, but we thought this is a company, a proper company built by several people, and you have like a whole team behind." But actually, no, it's just the two of us.
Yeah.
But well, two plus freelancers who have been supporting us. But it's very we're very limited, but we really strive to make it. As nice as possible as a product that we ourselves would like to use, and we pour our soul and heart into it, basically. But we're limited by time, and now that this AI tool can solve the issue of time, we can really move forward faster. So for example, just as an example, I had since forever pending a task for the director, which is matching the client with the psychotherapist using like a onboarding form, like a questionnaire, like several steps.
Mm.
Wizard, it's not too complicated, but it will still like take you some time to sit down and try to make a strategy, approach, and also analyze your current code base and see how it fits the best way. Now I could actually have done. I did it with in an afternoon with Lovable, with several iterations, perfecting it, and also like checking the code that it spit out that is actually like not redundant or inefficient and secure. So that was really good because it's unblocked something that was like living rent free in my head for months or even almost a year, and I got it out. So I can see how this AI tool can really, really, really help people who have this idea in their head and bring it out.
Exactly.
It's very democratic, and a lot of my peer developers will maybe even hate me for saying this, but AI is a tool that is valuable. It's it is also getting better. Yeah, it would just lift up the ground for everyone, and I do see that as a good thing. A lot of times with developers, we are expensive. We're like the gatekeepers of the ideas to become a reality,
Mm.
and I don't want to be a gatekeeper. I also don't want to pump the hype on AI. Of course, there's a hype, and there's like things that are not perfect. We really have to work and double check things and so on. I recommend doing that, security and everything. But I think with time, it will just get better and better, and most people can have access to this, and yeah, like
I
get
mean, the point that you were making
things out.
of, I saw you saying I had this idea locked in inside, right? And over the course of an afternoon, I could just put it into something that was functional. Well,
Yeah.
even if it's not perfect, it is a prototype, right? Um, and that you can show to get feedback. So
Mm,
this idea of rapid prototyping that we've been talking about for ages, right? Is actually now possible that you you just come up with a few ideas. You can even tinker with how they would look in a matter of a weekend, and then put it out there with maybe your community and get feedback to see which one is more appealing or responds better to the pains out there, and then you go with that. The alternative that we had only a year ago, right? Because this platform is or this category of full stack vibe coding has been around only for less than a year, right? Um, Before that, you needed to just sit And even if it's a prototype, it would take you a few hundred hours of programming to get it out there. And if it's wrong, then you have to go back to the drawing board. And so I think a lot of the failed startups are just because of that, because you go in a direction that is in your head, but you don't validate it quick enough in the marketplace. You don't do the experiments that to really find whether there is traction or not. And then actually by the moment you already know and that you have to do a pivot, maybe you run out of time or money or will, to do the pivot or steam, right? So
Yeah.
I think this could be the gateway to many people tinkering away and just translating those ideas into something physical, validating themselves and saying, oh, this is not as incredible as I thought, or being able to actually be grounded by the reality of people coming and seeing your idea and saying, look, I already saw this is already been done or something like that. uh, you know uh,
Yeah.
and 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 getting the true feedback that you need to succeed. I think what you said is true. This is going to totally change the paradigm in which we create things, and that applies for non-technical people and for technical people. I mean, for everyone. I know of technical people like you that are just that reckon, they have their own ways of creating enterprise grade software and everything. Perfect. With all the security stacks and all the, cloud connections and everything, within an environment that is secure. But to do the fast prototyping, they are using Lovable, just to get basically the screens and the flow
Yeah.
of things and to show it to management. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
as if it were a sandbox, to test out. So even for that very preliminary step of creativity and then sharing with other people, and maybe even you can go with an at a meeting with non-technical people validating the functionality, and you can just go and type away. But what happens if you change this box and you put it here, and you can do it live,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that you realize how much that would speed up things, and the cost to reach a converging product that actually has traction would be a fraction, literally a fraction. So I'm so excited because of that, because in my community in Just Action, we're trying to get people to connect to their epic projects that have a lot of meaning, that are locked inside. And this is just a vehicle to see them realized, especially when they are, of course, technical projects.
Hmm. No, that's completely true. Like especially the validation of ideas. These tools are excellent, excellent, because you can just visualize it. It feels different when you see it. Of course, like what we learn with a traditional lean startup cycle is to maybe have like even very low fidelity prototypes and show some paper to people and so on, but of course that might be not too exciting. Then you actually try to put some design to it, and then some minimal functionality, and then you're already creating a prototype that needs coding and so on, and it's already too much and time and effort for just validating it and then saying like, oh no. I mean, it's a good thing to do, but it still takes time, and now this tools can actually decrease that, and that's the best use case, I would say, for Lovable, for me, to use it as a prototyping platform. That is gold. Like,
Mhm.
you can throw in a brand really quickly. You can throw in the copy even, and so bring your images or even your own design, and you can just start asking your family, friends, circle online, product hunt, and so on. And yeah, you will get your answer fairly quickly. And in Shipped, that's what we were doing. Like, in this weekly iterations and feedback rounds.
Fantastic. So tell me one thing. What is that you would like to ask the community? Because my community is in love with the idea of supporting entrepreneurs that have a cause, and that connected with their why and with what we call the aspirational story in the epic project. So, what is that you would like to ask from our community to advance your project?
Well, of course, like and subscribe. No, I'm joking. Really go go to on psymerge.com and check out our project, and maybe even trying out and give us feedback. That's always like gold. And we are always looking for also contacts in the world of mental health, especially if they understand psychedelics and have experience with it. So if anyone has contacts with more guides, counselors, psychedelic psychotherapists, psychiatrists, please reach out or pass the word. And because we also want to set up a strong advisory board to make sure that we are conducting everything in the right direction with the top safety measures and ethical considerations and respect towards this medicine. And I'm this is like the new closet nowadays. Like so many people actually have experience with or understanding of psychedelics, but you can't say it due to the stigma out there. You don't talk about it on LinkedIn, for example, and so on. But more than once, people come to me and it's like like slowly, not too loud, telling me, "Hey, we could talk about this." So
Yeah.
anyone in this community, if they want to talk about this with us and have good context, we are very, very open. And of course, money is always something that could give us fuel to carry on without spending more time working on, for example, my agency, so I can focus on this and have it financially sustainable. So anything that can bring us funds, such as like investors or ideas for grants and so on, will be also open to discuss about it. And ideally, we'll find entities and investors or business angels that align with our vision and are very, very ethical and don't see this as a pure for profit project. Those would be my ask, plural.
That's fantastic. Well, yes, I mean, to that point of a stigma, yeah, I don't connect to that anymore. Maybe because I've seen the benefit so directly that for me, I think that we as humans are so isolated from the source of wisdom, that this is a means to that. The thing that we need to know more about, and the cause of the stigma is that people took this as recreational stuff, yeah, for the thrill of it. But the underlying benefit of it can, I think, is starting to become very evident. And I think the increased popularity of it is not because of the potential, thrill of it, or this more frivolous side that people connect to. I think the popularity that is getting in the Western world, let's say, is because people are in a crisis and they are looking for any answer, any answer. So that's where I believe that there has been more people opening up, just being frank and discussing their journey with the medicine. And as you said, it's not for everyone necessarily, but I do think that there is a way that is aligned with you, that is sourced through this natural medicine. So that, what I'm saying by this is that you just have to find the thing that speaks to you. The journey or the substance that speaks to you, and also I wanted to point out that it's not the substance by itself. It is the place where you are makes a huge difference. It makes a difference if you are in a little apartment in Berlin compared to being in a forest. Which, when you opened up about your own experience, the first one you had, you talked about being out in the outdoors, right? And and you said, well, it wasn't a controlled environment and all that. But my experience is that that's the best place to be when you are in nature, right? But yeah,
Let me interrupt you. Like,
yes,
I had nothing against nature,
yeah,
and what was not the right thing to do is to do it in the dark
in the
and at
dark,
night,
yeah,
in the dark, when everything looks fairly creepy in the forest at night and far a little bit from any safe access to help. So, and
right,
also like
right,
surrounded by people who don't have that much experience, and if
exactly.
anyone had a bad trip, then they wouldn't know what to do, for
What to
example.
do?
So
Exactly.
that's what I mean. But the setting of like the nature, yes, absolutely fantastic. That's where we feel more connected with ourselves. Like,
Hmm.
it's kind of where we belong. This
Yeah.
golden cage we build ourselves with comfort, um, yeah, and capitalism and everything, that doesn't really is not our real nature. So
Yes.
yeah.
It's not our real home. Yes.
Hmm.
So congratulations, Chin, on this amazing journey of yours. And I mean, this project has incredible upside. I've been involved in the subject of happiness and well-being for 15 years, helping teams create positive work environments. And I've been very privy of how mental health issues have impacted many workplaces, especially after the pandemic.
Oh,
But it was a tendency even before. So the mental health subject is trending in a tendency that is worrisome, for everyone. And I really commend you for putting this together and working in this area and providing solutions.
yeah. It is a alarming problem increasing these days, and I think there's never enough work put into it. So this is our little contribution to it, and I have to thank you so much for, yeah, giving us voice and talk about it.
Of course, my friend, of course. Well, thank you so much again, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you. Have a nice day.